Welcome to the AgriMinds podcast. If you're in agriculture and feeling the weight of responsibility, juggling work, family, and everything in between, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Casey Bull, coach, speaker, and founder of AgriMinds. Each week, we'll talk about the real side of leadership, how to think clearly, manage your time, set boundaries, and show up with intention, both at home and in the field. Let's get into today's episode. If you are constantly feeling behind, if your brain never seems to shut off, and you feel like you're constantly running around like a chicken with your head cut off, this episode is for you. If you have been reacting to life instead of actually being proactive and leading it, buckle up. This is an episode that I want to talk to you about that completely changed the way I operate, both personally and professionally. And today's topic is time mastery. Now, notice I didn't say time management. There is a language shift that I had to learn to really help me look at things from a new lens. I used to say time management. And to me, when I said time management, it meant I'm managing my time. Maybe my time was managing me. Can you relate? Instead, I've began saying time mastery, meaning I'm using it intentionally. I'm thinking about it from every angle. I'm mastering what I do with my time. And I want to say this right out of the gate. Time mastery is not about becoming a productivity robot. It's not waking up at 4 a.m. It's not about squeezing more work into your already very full day. It's about learning how to stop living in constant reaction mode. It is about making sure that you're showing up with intention and you have a plan with what you want to do with your day. I think a lot of people in agriculture have normalized overwhelm to the point where they don't even realize how reactive they've become. I've totally been there too. I used to live in reaction mode, and every now and then it starts to creep in and I'm like, nope. Pause for a second. What can I do to be proactive in this moment? What tools, what resources, what conversations, what decisions do I need to make so that way I'm not running around and just putting fire after fire after fire out? If you are someone who feels overwhelmed before your feet even hit the floor in the morning, if you're someone who feels mentally exhausted all the time, maybe you feel guilty for resting, maybe you feel like no matter how much you accomplish, there's always something waiting for you, or maybe you're physically present with your family, you're in the same room as them, but you're mentally thinking about something else, this episode is for you. I think that this episode is going to hit especially hard for those people who are wearing multiple hats. Maybe you have a job in town, you also farm, you're also raising kids, you're also taking care of elderly parents, you're also a volunteer in your community. You have a million hats. I know that it feels like you're constantly running around from place to place and you're not giving 100% anywhere you go. I know that you probably are depending on a lot of outside external factors such as people, weather, equipment, schedules, whatever that looks like. You probably do have to wait on somebody else or something else before you can make the move that you need to move. Many of us are balancing our careers, our family, our community involvement, our kids, right? All at the same time. And so today I want to talk to you about a few things that completely shifted how I think about time. The first step is stop treating everything like it has equal importance. I know, gasp. But not everything deserves the same amount of you. Not everything deserves the same amount of time. Not everything needs to be treated equally. And one of the biggest mindset shifts that I ever had around time was realizing this: if everything is important, then nothing is actually important. For years, I treated every email, every discovery call, every task, every responsibility like it deserved my immediate attention. The result? I was constantly overwhelmed. I felt like all I was doing was just checking the box, answering the email, doing the next task. I was busy all the time. Absolutely not productive, though. And here's something else that I learned: activity does not equal productivity. I'll say it again in case you're driving or you didn't hear that one. Activity does not equal productivity. I was busy all the time, but very rarely was it intentional. And I think that many people confuse movement with progress. You ever heard that saying, I'm just spinning my wheels? Yeah, now's the time to start gaining some traction. We're ready to move out of, okay, why is this not working? And into, what do I need to do differently? And so today, that's what we are going to tackle. But listen, here's the thing: just because your schedule is full, it doesn't mean your priorities are aligned. So that's where we're going to start. I remember having a moment one day where I realized I was giving random, urgent things more attention than the things that actually mattered most to me, my kids. I was answering emails. I was making sure that there were no notification bubbles on my email and my Facebook and my LinkedIn, because I just cannot stand to have notification bubbles on my home screen on my phone. And I remember like sitting there and I was like, oh, I just got to open that app so that way I can see what the notification is, so the notification bubble goes away. That was like an OCD thing I had. And I remember my daughter sitting there. She's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And I'm like, hang on, I need to look at this real quick. And I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. It can wait. This was super hard to admit. This was pretty vulnerable to admit out loud on this podcast. But I think it's important because I know so many people who have been there or are still there. The number one thing that people set as a goal inside of the Agriminds Live group coaching program is, I want to spend less time on social media and more time being present with my family. It's the number one goal, right up there next to, I want to drink more water, I want to lose weight, and I want to get a promotion. Those are like the most common goals that people set inside of Agriminds Live. Everybody wants to feel present. Everybody wants to spend less time doom scrolling. But for some reason, they don't. Maybe it's because they don't have the tool. Maybe they don't actually want to change anything yet. I don't know the real reason. It looks differently for everybody, but that's what we're going to dive into today. So the very first question that I'm going to ask you: what actually matters most right now? Who actually matters the most right now? I'm not asking you to list off 100 things. I want you to think of like 3. What are the most important things for you right now? We do something called the Wheel of Life exercise inside of Agriminds Live. And this is an exercise that helps us get a visual for how much time and energy and attention we are giving the different areas of our life. And most of the time, people know this, but it doesn't actually like sit with them and hit them and give them the realization until they see the visual and how much time is poured into this area and how much time is not into this other area. And I guarantee you, if I were to collect data doing this, most people want to see a change in how much time they spend on their career or their business and how much time they spend on their family, and they would swap them. They would spend more time with their family and their friends than they would their business. But for some reason, that's where they're spending all their time and attention. And we've got to have awareness around that before we can make any shift. And so the second thing that I would encourage you to think about is to build margin before you think you need it. Here's what I mean. This one is a big deal. I used to schedule my days completely full. From sunup to sundown, I would have things on the calendar, and I would never have any breathing room, no margin, no flexibility. And then when something unexpected came up, which when you have kids, it always does, the rest of the day felt chaotic. Agriculture teaches us this lesson pretty quickly, especially when things break down, when it starts raining when you didn't expect it to, when the school calls and the kid is sick, when the equipment breaks down. All of this stuff happens when we least expect it to. It happens on our busiest days, right? I get it. I was there. I was actually laughing about this recently because I was literally mowing between client calls the other day, trying to beat the rain before we left town. And I thought to myself, this is why margin matters. This is why I don't schedule back-to-back calls anymore, because it was not supposed to rain. And then all of a sudden there was rain in the forecast. I'm like, if I don't mow today, then it's going to be an entire week and a half before I can mow again. And I had to work in between client calls. That is time mastery. It's not about controlling every second perfectly. It's about creating enough breathing room that life doesn't completely derail you every time something changes. Margin protects your time. It protects your nervous system. And honestly, most people don't need a better plan. They just need space in their plan. White space is what we call that. When we're looking at our calendar, white space is when it's unplanned time. It's that margin in the middle. If you're listening to this episode thinking, wow, this is exactly how I've been feeling lately, I want you to know you are not alone. Agriminds is not about adding one more thing to your already full plate. It's about helping you navigate those pressures, the stress, leadership, and responsibilities that you're already carrying with more clarity, support, and intention. Inside Agriminds, you'll find practical tools, coaching, leadership development, and a community full of agriculture professionals who truly understand the realities of this life. If you're ready to stop just surviving your days and start leading them with more intention, the link to learn more is in the show notes. The third step here that I would encourage you to take is to learn the difference between urgent and important. There's something that I give clients called the Time Mastery Toolkit. And inside of there are some tools that help you break down, okay, here's my entire list. Everything is important. Okay, but which ones are the most urgent? What needs to be done first? Just because something feels urgent does not mean it's important. And I think many of us spend our entire lives responding to urgency, notifications, texts, emails, problems, requests, deadlines, whatever it is. Eventually, your nervous system is going to start operating like everything is an emergency. There's no lion. There is no lion chasing you. Nothing is that big of a deal. Not everything deserves immediate access to you. And honestly, one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn is that being constantly available is not effective. My brain needs to shut off. My brain needs to shut off in order to recharge. Sometimes the most important work is the stuff that nobody sees. It's the taking time to have no music, no sound, no talking, and just being. There are skills such as thinking clearly, planning intentionally, resting, having hard conversations, being present with your family, taking care of yourself. Those are things that matter. Those are things that if you do and you prioritize, they will help everything else run smoothly too. Step number 4, stop glorifying burnout, please. I think this one hits especially hard in ag because hard work is deeply valued. Rightfully so, right? Somewhere along the way, many people started tying exhaustion to worth. I worked hard today, it counts. Oh, you didn't work hard enough today? Not as many bonus points to you. If we're tired enough, stressed enough, or overwhelmed enough, then maybe we're doing enough. right? Then we've earned rest. Then we've earned insert whatever. I thought that constantly rushing meant that I was productive. I thought that exhaustion meant like, well, that was a successful workday. But eventually I realized this: burnout doesn't make you a better leader. It makes decision making harder, communication harder, presence harder, relationships harder. Burnout equals no bueno. I had to ask myself this: what kind of life am I actually building right now? What are my kids watching me do? Because everything that I'm doing, they are learning. And so what they're seeing right now is that, oh, working this hard and not taking time to rest is normal and it's okay. Feeling constantly burnt out and running on fumes is normal and it's okay. That's what they're learning from me. So I had to ask myself, what kind of life am I building and what are my kids learning from me? I had to get really real with myself about that one, because if I didn't want to constantly feel mentally absent from the people and the things that mattered to me most, something had to change. Which leads me into step 5. Decide what matters before life decides for you. Decide what matters before life decides for you. This may honestly be the most important thing I could share with you today. If you don't intentionally decide your priorities, somebody else will. Life will decide them for you. If you don't set boundaries, somebody else will set them for you. If you don't decide how you're going to spend your time, somebody else will decide for you. And the loudest thing wins. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The urgent thing, the stressful thing, the demanding thing, all of that is going to get your attention first unless you decide otherwise. This is one of the reasons I talk so much about reflection and awareness inside of Agriminds, because many people have never slowed down long enough to ask themselves, what do I actually want my life to feel like? Instead, they're always asking, well, what do I need to get done? What do I need to do next? How do I keep this person happy? How do I make sure I don't screw up here? How do I get the good grade? How do I get the promotion? What do I need to do to make so-and-so happy? How do I get that sale? Very seldomly do we slow down long enough to ask, what do I actually want my life to feel like? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? How do I want to spend my days? Who do I want to spend my days with? What do I want to spend my days doing? When you start to do that work, things shift. One mistake that I see people make all the time is trying to fix their overwhelm by simply becoming more productive. They add more to their plate. Well, if I just did this more, or if I just added that, or if I took time to do this, then it'll all work out. But if your priorities are unclear, more productivity just helps you move faster in the wrong direction. You got to know what you're running towards. You got to know what you're working towards. You need to be able to slow down long enough and say, this is not how I want to spend my day anymore. Time mastery is not about cramming more into your schedule. It's about alignment. And honestly, some of the healthiest changes that I've made had nothing to do with becoming more efficient. They had everything to do with becoming more intentional, saying yes to the right things and no to the wrong things in this season of my life. In the last season of my life, my yeses and my nos looked different. But now things have changed and my priorities have changed. My time needs to be spent differently. So if you've been constantly feeling behind, overwhelmed, reactive, stop treating everything like it's equally important. I encourage you to build margin before you need it. Don't wait for burnout to set in before you start showing up to life intentionally. Learn the difference between urgent and important. And glorifying burnout is not, it's not it. It's not where we're at today. That's not the thing. I encourage you to decide what matters before life decides for you. This is about leading your life with more intention instead of constantly reacting to everything around you. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to take an assessment that's linked in the show notes called why everything feels like a priority. Because sometimes the issue isn't laziness or lack of discipline. My goodness. Sometimes you're simply just stuck in reaction mode without the tools to navigate through it. This assessment will help you identify what may actually be contributing to the overwhelm and just help you get a little bit more clarity and awareness of where it's coming from and what to do with it. In the next episode, we're going to be continuing this conversation by talking about boundaries. Boundaries and time mastery typically go hand in hand because if you don't have a boundary around your time, then, well, you can see. So stay tuned for the next episode, and I will see you next time on the AgriMinds podcast. Thanks for being here today. If this episode resonated with you, make sure that you're following the AgriMinds podcast so you don't miss what's coming next. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, send this their way. These are the conversations that more people in agriculture need to hear. Talk to you next time.